Yo, yo, we'll get going here in just a few minutes. Hang tight. Good to see you, Riot. Mustang, Jerry, GP, what up? We'll get going at about the 3-minute mark. Jill, good to see you. Alrighty. Exactly the 3-minute mark. How's everybody doing today? Tony? Working from home is good and bad. Just like anything in this world, right? All right, so who's going to be the one to tell me what confirmation bias is? In your own words, what is it? Good to see you, Jari. D. Ashley, what's up? Long time no see. Always good to see you. Hope everything is going well. Mustang, don't know who that is. Good afternoon, Ziggy. Beth, how's it going? J. Ray. All right. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today, of course, confirmation bias, echo chambers, famous examples of confirmation bias, and why certain types tend to support accused killers. So, confirmation bias.
Do you want to know what it is?
Well, do you? J. Ray, confirmation bias is a type of cognitive bias where you tend to give more weight to facts that support your preconceived notions. True. Pretty good. All right. Confirmation bias occurs when individuals favor information that aligns with their views while dismissing or undervaluing evidence that contradicts them. It's a cognitive shortcut rooted in the brain's desire to maintain consistency and reduce dissonance. So basically, it's not fun to be wrong. We don't really prefer doing things that aren't fun. And being wrong sometimes hurts people's ego. So they try to avoid it. And oftentimes they end up in groups just like themselves who are afraid of being wrong. What is going on with you, Don Spain? Welcome in. Grunge, how's it going? Because of the subconscious wanting to protect the part of the killer you relate to. Projection. Very sparkly and bright. Curious, I got unsubbed. How does that even work? That's shadow banning. Shadow banning, my friend. Anytime my channel brings up a political topic, it happens. It's like YouTube telling you, like, don't do that. You're not necessarily breaking any of our rules, but we have other ways. Good to see you, GP. Not much. All right. Selective perception, focusing on evidence that supports one's belief. For example, believing a suspect is innocent and only noticing exculpatory clues. Right? For instance, the Delphi murders and the Franks memorandum, a lot of people took it as gospel. And when I called that out, they become extremely emotional, which is another telltale sign of confirmation bias. Selective memory, recalling details that reinforce existing beliefs while forgetting opposing facts. Selective hearing, even. Grunge says, for some, I think they root for certain criminals subconsciously. I think so too. Interpretation bias, interpreting ambiguous evidence to fit one's narrative, viewing a suspect's behavior as suspicious or innocent based on prior assumptions. A Pisces. That's funny. Not subconsciously, but consciously. All right. So, why do people support accused killers? Belief in innocence. Supporters of accused killers like Richard Allen may focus on evidence like inconsistent witness statements or perceived investigative flaws, ignoring forensic evidence, tying the suspect to the crime. So the bullet is junk science, and everything that the defense is presenting is fabulous. It makes sense and is really scientific. Richard Allen seems like a really nice guy. All his neighbors like him. Yeah, the devil's in the details, Dan. There's truth to everything. There's some truth to everything. Sometimes fact is scarier than fiction. Yep, we're going to talk about David Koresh a little bit later on. That is going to be on the list of famous examples of confirmation bias. Yeah, we've covered hybristophilia a few times. All right, what about distrust in authority? I think ranks higher on the list here. And I think politics is deeply rooted also in this. If someone distrusts police or the justice system, they may selectively interpret evidence to confirm systemic corruption, as seen in online communities defending accused killers based on partial information. Right, I see a lot of that in the Karen Reed case. I was just thinking that. I was like, yeah, isn't this kind of like what you do? But the difference between a contrarian and somebody who has bias is you're more so playing devil's advocate. Just to make sure that it's being done. Hey, Cyber. Exactly. All his neighbors said that Richard Allen was a really nice guy. They said I'd send my kids over there if I ever had to. Like what? Grunge says, not to mention there's a plague of focusing hatred on the world onto one person. Look at all the people that Diddy jumped on. That's why he's on trial now. Okay, what about the emotional investment? Personal connections or fascinations, like hybristophilia, can lead supporters to cherry pick details that align with their view or the accused and misunderstood or framed, right? The evidence was planted. This was evident in Ted Bundy's case, where admirers ignored overwhelming evidence due to his charm. Remember, he asked his wife to marry him in the middle of a murder trial? That's that superficial charm and psychopathy, known in psychopathy. Yeah, your channel will do better if you're victim bashing and rooting for the accused. That's for sure. Seems to be much more popular. It's like it's boring, right? It's boring to tell the truth. You're being sanctimonious, sleuth. No, I'm just repulsed by people bashing and re-victimizing people. Jousting is most fun. Not really, J Ray. It's all part of the same thing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Delphi and Evansdale. You know, we've explored conspiracy theories, whether or not they've been connected or not. We've never really made a decision, but people who kind of say it's a fact, like, oh, they're absolutely connected or they're absolutely not connected. So we're always, me personally, always pattern seeking. Confirmation bias drives speculation about serial killer connections between cases like Delphi and Evansdale. Amateur sleuths may focus on similarities, young female victims, rural settings, while overlooking differences. The method of killing, lack of forensic links. For instance, online forums often amplify theories of a Midwest serial killer by emphasizing shared traits and ignoring contradictory evidence. So you might focus more on the strangeness between the dates, right? They're basically a mirrored image. And that in itself is so bizarre that it's enough to kind of lead with. Like, look at the dates. And then you just ignore everything else. Grunge truck. Do they want Diddy to go down more for the Tupac murder or the sexual stuff? Good to see you, Karen. Mark says, I've been watching Richard Allen supporters channels and holy F, the confirmation bias is real. It really is. And we're going to kind of take a look at ourselves. You know, we're going to take this high powered perception and we're going to point it inward. And we're going to see if we can identify confirmation bias in ourselves as well. So let's go back to Delphi and Evansdale and people's confirmation bias and how that might relate when dealing with those cases. Media influence. Sensationalized coverage can reinforce biased narratives. If a documentary highlights similarities between cases, viewers may fixate on those points, dismissing unmentioned dissimilarities. And then you have investigative bias. Even police can fall prey to confirmation bias, right? Putting on the blinders. Pursuing suspects who fit a preconceived profile while neglecting other leads. In unsolved cases like Evansdale, this can delay progress of investigators focus on a single theory and miss broader patterns. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, if you guys can't hit the Cash App, hit the like button. You got to hit one. Yeah, move the girls to a different location. That's a good example. All right, let's focus mainly on the Delphi murders. Before Richard Allen's conviction, online communities fixated on certain suspects or theories. A serial killer linked to Evansdale, based on selective evidence like victim profiles, ignoring that Allen was a local with no confirmed ties to other cases. Right? He can't be the guy. He can't be the guy because he's not in prison already for other murders. It doesn't even make sense when you say it out loud. It's like, how can you go on to commit other murders if you already committed other murders that you've either been caught for or somebody's searching for you? You're most likely going to be in prison. Every killer has to commit their first murder at some point. The Evansdale murder. Speculation about a serial killer persists because people focus on similarities with the Delphi case. 2 young girls, rural area. The lack of forensic evidence linking the cases is often downplayed. General serial killer cases. Confirmation bias affects how serial killers are profiled. For example, assuming all serial killers are male loners can lead investigators to overlook female killers, right? Eileen Wuornos. Or team killers, skewing early investigations. So you never want to put on the blinders. When you put it that way,
Your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
all right, steps to identify your own confirmation bias. All right, guys, we're going to take this intuition and this high powered perception and we're going to turn it inward. It's going to be hard for some of you, especially all of you narcissists lurking out there are going to struggle with this one. Okay. And at the top of the list, notice strong emotional reactions. Right? Always. And this isn't for you to notice in other people. Remember, we're looking within now. So within yourself, notice strong emotional reactions. So if you're already triggered at this point, you got some work to do when it comes to confirmation bias, because we haven't even started. If you're over there thinking, dang, Sleuth is calling me emotional, you're already guilty. You're already guilty. Well, before we do that, let's look at this, because I keep using the matrix kind of as a metaphor, the whole red pill, blue pill. So the blue pill basically represents staying in the comfort of your confirmation bias. Like, you don't care. I don't care. I don't need the truth. I'm happy here in my new cult in this fun little echo chamber. I like the color scheme. A lot of good feng shui going on over here. I fit in. So, choosing the blue pill, you're choosing to stay in the comfort of the confirmation bias. It means sticking with beliefs that feel comfortable, even if they're skewed by your confirmation bias. You're only interested in evidence that supports your existing views. Basically, a mental matrix of self reinforcing ideas. Let's use Delphi as an example. Someone convinced Richard Allen is innocent might focus only on flaws in the prosecution's case, right? Inconsistent sketches. The damn sketches. This is bullshit. While dismissing the bullet, match, or confessions, they're taking the blue pill by staying in a narrative that feels right, avoiding uncomfortable evidence. Yuck. Yeah, that's true. We don't really know the criminology. Cyber. I read about one woman who was a doctor. She was a serial killer who drugged her patients. I forgot her name. That's scary because I'm already terrified of hospitals. Just the smell. You never know if you're going to get MRSA or some shit. You'll lose a toe. You just never know. Malpractice, it's a big deal. Mel from Cold Truth. How the hell are you, Mel? How's it going? Okay, let's see here. So I guess the metaphor is this: the blue pill keeps you in a cozy illusion, like Neo, choosing to remain in the matrix, unaware of reality. Confirmation bias is the matrix itself, filtering what you see to maintain your worldview. What about the red pill?
Take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
All right, choosing the red pill means facing the truth, even when it's unsettling. It involves actively seeking contradictory evidence, questioning assumptions, and being open to changing your mind. A direct challenge to confirmation bias. For example, the Evansdale murders, a red pill approach would mean considering that no serial killer link to Delphi exists, despite similarities. If forensic evidence does support it, also you would weigh all evidence, different methods, no DNA match, rather than fixating on a serial killer theory. The red pill wakes you up to reality, like Neo seeing the Matrix true nature. It's about embracing the discomfort of questioning your beliefs to get closer to the truth. Okay, now let's get back to steps to identify your own confirmation bias. Yeah, we're going to talk about echo chambers too. She's like, I'll gladly take the blue pill. Mustang. Yeah, I don't like them. They smell funny. It's very similar to like a prison or a jail or something. Sleuth, are you entering the world of the pill people? They're like, you had me at pills. I'll take the red and the blue pill. I'll take them both. Some of you out there are going to try to smoke them. I'll smoke them together. I'll inject it into my vein. one in the left and one in the right arm, and they'll meet in the middle. He'll be half Neo, half Agent Smith. I'm a gray pill. Is that where you sit on the fence or ride that gray line? Kind of just stick your tiptoe on one side or the other. Like, oh, let's try this one today. Nope, that's a little hot. Yep. They just smell so weird. Grunge says the worst echo chamber I've witnessed is probably GNA coach Eli. Okay, so the top of the list, and this is how we're going to start this. Notice strong emotional reactions. And for you narcissists out there, we're not talking about you not needing to look within. So therefore, you're going to go ahead and help us out by looking at others. No, you need to look within. So you need to notice strong emotional reactions. Confirmation bias often kicks in when you feel strongly about a belief. This suspect is guilty, or these cases are linked. If you get defensive, excited, or dismissive when encountering new information, it might signal bias. If you're convinced a serial killer links the Delphi and Evansdale murders, and you feel irritated when someone points out differences, like no forensic connection, that's a red flag too. Pause when you feel emotional about a case. Don't react, just chill. Ask, why am I reacting this way? Is it the evidence or my attachment to my theory? Which is it?
You want to know what it is.
Do you want to know what it is? Cold truth. Gray pill to me is appreciating the flip side. Challenging is how one can make sure they're standing on solid ground. Yeah, playing the devil's advocate. So that's definitely not the blue pill. That's more of the red pill. That's part of the red pill. We're going to categorize under the red pill.
Take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
That's funny. All right, check the evidence that you prioritize. How it works. Confirmation bias leads you to focus on evidence that supports your view while ignoring or rationalizing contradictions. Right? Remember, J Ray? Wait until the lighting changes. Let's just ignore everything and let's wait for that one moment in the video where it kind of feeds into your narrative. True crime example. If you believe an accused killer like Richard Allen is innocent, you might dwell on inconsistent witness statements, but gloss over forensic evidence like his bullet match. Oh, well, that's junk science. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that tool mark evidence is junk science. Well, that's what you would say if it goes against your narrative, right? And you had confirmation bias. All right, list evidence for and against your belief. So this is Mel's gray pill. So you got to take the cold truth gray pill, list evidence for and against your belief. For a case, write down 3 points supporting your theory, like Delphi and Evansdale both involve 2 young girls, and 3 points challenging it. For example, different methods of killing. If you struggle to find opposing points, you're likely biased. I hate to tell you. Okay, where are we at in the chat? Jari, I don't have a huge emotional outburst with most things, but I'm not immune to it on some things. Yeah, and you don't want to be either way. Like if you think Richard Allen is guilty and somebody comes in and challenges you and all of a sudden you get emotional or triggered, there's a good chance that you might be biased. It doesn't mean that anybody's right or wrong. It just means you might have confirmation bias. And that's not going to do you any favors as a web sleuth or a true crime aficionado. Uh-huh. All right, question your information sources. You may gravitate towards the Sleuth Intuition channel, just naturally, right? Or another podcast that might reinforce your views, creating an echo chamber. Diverse sources expose you to conflicting perspectives. So be eclectic. If you only follow... Wait, hold on. Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. So basically, seek out sources that challenge your stance. Read court documents or police reports alongside Reddit threads. Don't just believe everything that's in Reddit. Join some kind of cult, some Reddit cult. No cherry picking. Basically what defense attorneys do for a living. Stagnancy. Got to have a balance. Never came easy for me. Yeah. Over analytical brain. I have the same problem. It's like, I want to know. I don't want to trust you and then be let down. I would rather just know myself. Is that so hard? Can I not go on my own journey? Do I have to trust everything that people that I trust say? No, I would like to be confident in my beliefs. So therefore, I will do my own research. Thank you very much. No offense to you, right? So I agree with that. I'm basically the same way. Well, I was on a channel and we were having a Delphi conversation, and I kept telling everybody like that they were wrong because they were quoting the Franks memo. They kept quoting all of this misinformation from the Franks memo, and I told them, "Hey, you're taking the Franks memo like it's gospel." And the first thing they did was they got emotional, and the content creator actually started crying and shut down her live stream because I said that. So if that's not a clear case of confirmation bias, just with the amount of emotion that we're seeing, I don't know what is. just having like this fragile stance on something where somebody says one thing outside of your echo chamber, you start crying. It's like, give me a break. Check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself. Confirmation is bad for your health. Confirmation bias, that is. Okay, what evidence would change my mind? You got to ask that question. If forensic evidence definitively ruled out a serial killer link between Delphi and Evansdale, would I accept it? If the answer is nothing would change my mind, you are biased. Okay, reflect on your assumptions. Confirmation bias stems from unexamined assumptions shaping how you interpret information. Identifying these helps you see where bias creeps in. So you could even have bias and be fully aware of it and work around it. Kind of like what they asked jury members to do. Like, yeah, you can have some knowledge of the case, but can you set all of your biases aside? Some people can do that. Let's use this in a true crime context. Assuming all serial killers target vulnerable victims might lead you to overconnect cases like Evansdale, the young girls, with others, ignoring killers with different motives. For example, financial gain. This is something that you could do. Write down your starting assumptions about a case, like serial killers always have similar victim profiles. Then check if you're forcing evidence to fit that mold. Be a very easy exercise right there. Let's welcome in a bootleg pass. Probably the same serial killer connecting Maura Murray and Brianna Maitland. One easy way to find out, right? Just turn that high-powered perception inward and ask yourself this question. Am I biased? Do I have confirmation bias? And then run down the checklist. Mustang, most of the pro-Allen side, I'm talking to GP, I've never attacked anyone for disagreeing but was blocked just because I was on the guilty side. Also, people on both sides can handle being called out. Yeah, if you get emotional or triggered, that's a good sign that you have confirmation bias. If it's just irritating to hear somebody kind of give an alternate version of events, that's a good sign that you have confirmation bias. Because it also means that you have no willingness to change your mind. So you're not listening, right? You're not listening anyway. Okay, try to seek feedback from others. And that's what we do well on the Sleuth Intuition channel, right? We rely on the chat heavily. What's up, Frank? Better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, so we're going to seek feedback from others. Others can spot biases you miss, especially if they hold different views. Engaging with diverse perspectives challenges your blind spots. Let's put it in a true crime context. If you post a theory on YouTube and others point out your flaws, you're ignoring the time, like you're ignoring the timeline. Consider their critique instead of dismissing it. And you can do this. Share your thoughts with a friend or online community and ask for honest feedback. Avoid defensive responses. And the problem is here on the Sleuth Intuition channel, we allow all ideas and people from all sides of a case. But the one thing that they don't get is that also doesn't give them the freedom to just be like triggered and angry and aggressive, um, which are also signs in themselves of some type of confirmation bias. So it's okay to have opposing views and things like that. We welcome that. But oftentimes they're accompanied by this behavior, right? It's not like somebody just comes in here and is actually open to hearing the alternate version of events or alternate theories. They're more so coming in here to try to impose their views and to talk down to us. So we are able to identify that quickly, and sometimes we get a little hostile back. But this isn't our first rodeo. All right, we're running out of time. We're going to skip the rest of that. Let's touch on echo chambers real quick before we get into famous examples of confirmation bias. All right, key characteristics of an echo chamber. Information that aligns with one's views is repeated and emphasized. A theory about a serial killer linking multiple cases. So we do have to admit, oftentimes this channel is an echo chamber, um, specifically with the Delphi case. You know, a lot of us, we know each other. We've been here so long, and we've kind of gathered in an echo chamber in this area of like-minded people who support similar viewpoints. So first step is admitting that you're an alcoholic, right? Hi, I'm Sleuth Intuition. I'm in an echo chamber. Information that aligns with one's views is repeated and emphasized. Isolation, contradictory evidence, or alternative perspectives are dismissed and avoided or downplayed. So we try to avoid that here. We actually try to invite alternative perspectives and contradictory evidence. We like to play devil's advocate here when we can. So, although we try to avoid becoming an echo chamber, sometimes it just happens. Let's go to the comment section. Grunge, one of the biggest crime channels, is an echo chamber, in my opinion. Cold Truth, I get a kick out of people attacking my looks. Debate one. Personal attacks. Ad hominem. You're welcome, Karen. It's always good to see you. Have a great day. I'll see you again later. We're going to be jumping over to the Karen Reed verdict watch, and then later tonight we're going to talk about the Delphi murders. All right. So, group dynamics, social circles, online communities, or media sources contribute to the echo effect by sharing similar biases. And then this is the most obvious: polarization. Over time, individuals become more entrenched in their beliefs, less open to new evidence. For example, supporting an accused killer despite overwhelming proof. Like, you're going to die on that hill for this sick, sadistic killer, and you don't even care. You will not divert from your stance, no matter what. I like it. Yep, there you go. I agree with that, Grunge. Yeah, take care, Karen. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, if you guys can't hit the Cash App, hit the like button. Yeah, fallacy is a good word. I concur. It's another good word too. All right. How do echo chambers relate to confirmation bias? Echo chambers and confirmation bias are closely linked. Confirmation bias drives individuals to seek out information that supports their beliefs, while echo chambers provide the environment where this bias is amplified. If you frequent a forum where users insist a serial killer links the Delphi and Evansdale murders, you might only see posts reinforcing that theory, ignoring police reports that find no evidence. This creates an echo chamber where your confirmation bias is constantly validated. All right. Because of time, this will be our 10-minute warning. We'll go through a couple of cases here. So I thought this was interesting. So, some famous examples of confirmation bias. So, I'll have you guys pick a couple of these because of time restraints. We have the Salem witch trials, the O.J. Simpson trial, the Challenger space shuttle disaster, the case of the Cottingley ferries, the Stanford prison experiment, the MMR vaccine controversy, and then finally the Waco siege. So we can do two. I was thinking of doing the Waco siege and then maybe either the OJ trial or the Salem witch trials. What's up, Goat Dog?
You want to know what it is. Last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Goat Dog says denial goes hand in hand with both confirmation bias and echo chambers. That's true. That's really what bias is. It's denial. It's a type of denial, really. It's selective denial. All right. So I say let's start with the Waco. The Waco siege, 1993. And earlier, one of you brought up David Koresh. The FBI's 51-day standoff with the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas, ended in a deadly fire, killing 76. Initial intelligence suggested the group was heavily armed and planning violence, leading the FBI to interpret all actions, refusing to exit as confirmation of hostility. The confirmation bias. The FBI focused on evidence supporting a violent cult narrative, overlooking negotiation opportunities or the possibility of miscommunication, contributing to the tragic escalation. So this kind of reflects how police or sleuths might fixate on a suspect profile in unsolved cases, like Evansdale, missing alternative explanations due to bias. All right, we'll do one more. Let's do the O.J. Simpson trial. It was from 1994 to 1995. O.J. Simpson was acquitted of murdering Nicole Brown Simpson, and Ron Goldman, despite DNA evidence linking him to the crime. The defense highlighted police racism. Hold on. Throat's getting dry. The defense highlighted police racism and a glove that didn't fit, resonating with jurors' pre-existing distrust of law enforcement. The confirmation bias. Jurors and some public supporters focused on evidence supporting a narrative of police misconduct, downplaying forensic evidence like blood drops, DNA match. This reflected racial and systemic biases influencing perception. So this kind of mirrors why some support accused killers, like emphasizing procedural flaws or evidence, akin to theories about Richard Allen's case in Delphi. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Let me know what you think in the comments. So if you're part of that replay crew, you know exactly what to do. Leave us a comment. We'll get back to you. We're going to hang out here for another 4 minutes. But that's pretty much all I had for you guys. So by choosing the blue pill, that means you're sticking with beliefs that feel comfortable, even if they're skewed by confirmation bias. If you're choosing the red pill, that means you're facing the truth even when it's unsettling or frustrating. You decide. Goat Dog, the true tragedy of Waco was the children who lost their lives, but I don't think that there was anything that could have been said or done to move Koresh off his end of days prophecy. Yeah, but I mean, you could always arrest him when he's outside of the home. You could infiltrate the cult. You could try to get some of the cult members to testify against or turn against Koresh. Like, there's many things you could do other than banging on the door, and when they don't open, burning it down. Something tells me they wanted him dead for whatever reason. But that's the conspiracy theorist in me. A big shout out to all the moderators. Thanks for keeping the chat chill. And all of you who continue to donate to the Cash App, the Venmo, and the Zelle. And all of you members, you guys keep this channel alive. So much love to all of you. And I appreciate that. So if you can't hit the Cash App, you can definitely hit the like button. It's right there. GP, you're welcome. You have a great day as well. So don't forget, we're going to jump right over to the Karen Reed trial, the verdict watch. They've been deliberating all morning. They were having some issues with some of the wording on the cards for the jury. I think they have that all worked out. And if the jury's having issues with the wording on all of that, to me, it tells me that they've made up their minds. They just are trying to work out the details. They've already decided the way that they're going to vote. Now they're just going to work out the all the details on it. So if they're being thrown off by some of the verbiage, to me that tells me they've already made their decision. They just need to fix some of that. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Peace.